Coming up, Samoa Joe is suspended by WWE, Matt Hardy offered a role in NXT, a major spoiler leaked for Super Showdown, and more.
Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe. Hello and welcome to the WrestleTalk Super News! I'm Ollie Davis and happy Super Showdown Eve, everybody! Because being a WWE fan isn't morally complicated enough already. I should put that on the poster. Because not only does the country have a terrible human rights record, a still very draconian approach to women's equality, Sami Zayn not being allowed to wrestle there because of his Syrian descent, and the fact the government murdered a Washington Post journalist a year and a half ago, prompting a number of WWE's top stars like John Cena, Daniel Bryan and Kevin Owens refusing to work in the country. The situation managed to become even more dire the last time WWE were out there for November's Crown Jewel, when mechanical issues meant the majority of the roster and crew couldn't take off in their plane after the show, missing the following night's SmackDown. While this was later blamed on just an airplane fault, there were numerous other reasons floating around, including a version of events where the Saudi government hadn't paid WWE for previous shows yet, so Vince McMahon stopped the live broadcast feed going on Saudi TV, which some allege meant the government prevented the plane from taking off for several hours. Whatever the real reason was, many of the stranded wrestlers felt betrayed by WWE when it put out a press release insinuating that those stuck on the runway away from their homes and wives and children were there because they didn't care enough to charter their own flight like a select number of SmackDown stars did. Some were so affronted, Carl Anderson posted, "Couldn't pay me enough to go back," before realizing he needed a second pool. Such morals. And despite those mechanical issues, WWE is reportedly using the same chartered airline service, as WrestleVotes has tweeted. After the last Saudi trip in November, which included the travel delays, WWE management let talent know they would look into alternative charters for their next trip, as opposed to using Atlas Air again. The crew heading back to Saudi this week boarded Atlas Air last night. Low! Thank you very much for your employee feedback. We really value your concerns and hear your frustrations. The country's official General Authority for Entertainment Twitter account, Enjoy Saudi, has posted footage of that very Atlas Air flight landing in Saudi Arabia, showing a number of WWE stars arriving for Super Showdown, including The Miz, Goldberg, Dolph Ziggler, Murphy, he ain't your buddy, Roman Reigns, R-Truth, Undertaker, Eric Rowan, and Bray Wyatt. Wait a second. Eric Rowan's there! Oh yeah, and also The Undertaker. While it's hard to tell a few identities because of all the surgical masks, the dead man has made zero effort to cover up. Taker hasn't been advertised for the event, but this supports PW Insider's report he's scheduled to appear on the 9th of March episode of Raw, which is the post-Elimination Chamber show, and John Pollock of Post Wrestling claims Taker is expected to appear at Super Showdown tomorrow. But what could he be doing at the event? Thanks for your support on Patreon. Don't have a Shane Cowley, man. WrestleZone initially reported that Undertaker is planned to face AJ Styles at WrestleMania 36, it's pirate themed, with WrestlingNews.co adding it's because the Phenom specifically requested the Phenom one because he sees him as the modern day Shawn Michaels. It seems likely that Taker could start something with Styles at Super Showdown, with AJ the favourite to win the country's latest, totally prestigious, will not be forgotten about in a few weeks Mario Kart trophy, the two-weight gauntlet match. A match that just had a seemingly disgruntled WWE star pulled. Up until Monday, Rusev was advertised for the two-weight trophy gauntlet match, along with Styles, Eric Rowan, R-Truth, Andrade, and Bobby Lashley. Wait a second, Eric Rowan's there! Seemingly set for a clash with Lashley, who Rusev has been feuding with for banging his wife. And shockingly, for a man booked in that kind of storyline, it doesn't seem like all's well behind the scenes. On Monday's Raw, it was announced Rey Mysterio would be replacing Rusev in the match. No official reason was given, but the very reliable PW Insider reported WWE decided not to use him in the match because he still hasn't re-signed a new contract. His and his real-life wife Lana's deals deals were thought to expire last summer, but in late November, Pro Wrestling Sheet announced Lana had agreed to a new 5-year deal. Rusev was expected to follow, but he apparently still hasn't re-signed. This even led to him and Lashley being pulled from the Rumble match just hours before it started, and WWE have sparsely booked him on TV since, and when they have, it's to lose. But PW Insider have now updated their report, which the Wrestling Observer have corroborated, saying Rusev is citing a back issue and that he backed out of the show essentially at the last minute. It's a confusing narrative to follow, with normally very reliable news sites reporting one thing, like Rusev's contract disputes, and then backtracking with another, that it's because of his back injury. In recent months, it seems as though WWE has been occasionally feeding various wrestling news sites and their sources incorrect or contrary details, a seeming campaign of disinformation to discredit and control the narrative. This can first be seen in last November's Crown Jewel Travel Issues report, where the discourse was turned from a potentially very real and significant story about an American company's workers being held hostage in Saudi Arabia to whether or not Seth Rollins made a rah-rah locker room speech just a few days later, with multiple WWE stars using social media to shift the focus away from the Saudi controversy and onto Dave Meltzer. And now there's yet another confused and muddled story with seemingly multiple different versions. The top line is that late yesterday afternoon, WWE announced Samoa Joe has been suspended for 30 days effective Monday, the February 24th, for his first violation of the company's talent wellness policy. But the larger story is riddled with inconsistencies and potential flags of disinformation, and actually begins back in December. In the decade after the wellness policy was introduced in 2006, over 60 separate violations have been publicly announced. But then, following Paige's Strike 2 on October 10th, 2016, no other suspensions happened for over 3 years. Then suddenly, last December, both Primo Colon and Bobby Roode were suspended for 30 days for their first violations, and the following month, on January 27th, the United States champion Andrade was written off TV with an injury and then suspended for 30 days for his first violation. His first date back is actually tomorrow's Tawake Trophy match in Saudi Arabia. The week after Andrade's suspension was announced, the very reliable WrestleVotes tweeted, "Word coming out of Raw is that more suspensions are coming. Must be something in that Southern California water, hint hint," working to confirm details. Following up with a picture of Samoa Joe, who hails from Southern California. WrestleVotes, for context, is one of the most accurate wrestling news sources around. They're practically batting 100. So it was incredibly bizarre to see their report immediately discredited by equally trustworthy sites like Fightful and the Wrestling Observer, with the former's Sean Ross Sapp posting, "Top staff within the company have vehemently denied to Fightful and Fightful Select that Samoa Joe is suspended." It seemed WrestleVotes had got it wrong, and they apologized accordingly soon after. Apologies for that suspension story last week got the info from a very reliable source, although they seem to have got this one wrong. It happens, that time of year where news gets screwy. No excuse though, we strive to provide valid, informative news. This was below that. While all this was happening, Joe was on and off TV for another well-reported reason. He had suffered a concussion on the 27th of January Raw and wasn't cleared to compete. He returned to the ring 2 weeks later, but then Pro Wrestling Sheet reported he suffered another concussion while filming a WWE commercial last week, hitting his head on a table break spot. Pro Wrestling Sheet added, "Sources tell us Joe could be out of action for a considerable amount of time. Unsurprising for a second concussion in just a few weeks and possibly ruling him out of WrestleMania." But then yesterday, WWE announced Samoa Joe has indeed been suspended for a wellness policy violation, about which WrestleVotes posted. So I see the Joe news was true. How about that? Sucks to see someone get suspended, but glad to know my sources are still spot on. With so so many versions of Joe's absence, it's almost impossible to determine what's actually happened here. All of them could be true, with Joe very unluckily suffering 2 concussions in a few weeks and failing the wellness policy, which seemingly happened around the same time as his first concussion, but was only announced shortly after his second. Perhaps an initial wellness policy test in January looked like a fail, which WrestleVotes reported, but a second test had to be done to make sure, which is what came through yesterday when the suspension was announced. And what of all the other sudden suspensions after 3 years of nothing? Has a new sports supplement started unwittingly failing people, or have WWE made the policy more strict, as Primo maintains he failed because he wasn't in the country to take the test? I don't know, and that might be the point. I've been covering wrestling news for my job for 4 years now, and I've never seen a time where WWE has seemingly toyed with or directly called out so many in the dirt sheet industry, mainly those called Dave Meltzer. And it all coincides with another top name, Ryan Satin of Pro Wrestling Sheet, pretty much being on their payroll as the official correspondent for WWE Backstage on Fox, and news that WWE are trying to crack down on storyline leaks, telling NXT talent to stop talking to the wrestling press. What do you think about the Samoa Joe suspension? Let me know in the comments, because I'll be replying from out of conspiracy theories. But ultimately, sometimes we don't need inside anonymous sources, because Matt Hardy will overtly tell us what's being planned anyway. Matt Hardy's WWE contract expires this weekend, where he could feature in some way at AEW Revolution. Check out our predictions video up later today for more on that. And now he's posted his latest not that cryptic video addressed to the guy who wrote him off TV, Randy Orton, titling it Dear Dr. RKO, which has an anagram double meaning as it spells out Dark Order, the AEW faction that Hardy is heavily rumoured to be leading on his debut. Interestingly though, in seemingly a last-ditch effort to keep him away from their Wednesday night rivals, PW Insider is reporting WWE has made a lot of overtures to him in the last couple of weeks, including offering him a role in NXT if he signs a new deal. This would reunite him with many of the Broken Brilliance team he had in TNA, who now work for WWE's third brand, including Jeremy Borash. Mike Johnson, whose gut feeling was spot on with Edge's Royal Rumble return last month, also said about Matt, "My gut feeling is that Matt Hardy will probably stay."
Hi Ollie.
Hey man, how's it going?
Got you another cup of tea. Is that one too strong? I know that the last one was a bit...
It'll be fine.
Okay.
It seems a bit strong, but I'll go for it.
I'm here basically to kind of like clear the air, I guess. I've noticed a bit of like office tension.
No.
The guys were saying you were a bit upset, like staying late.
What? No.
Just like blankly staring at your computer.
No.
So look, I just wanted to, I know the Parts of Unknown thing took you by surprise.
Yeah, you did launch a whole other wrestling channel without me, but that's cool. Like, it's going well.
My first fantasy booking video is on that channel, by the way. If you, my first fantasy booking in a long time. If you want to check out Parts of Unknown, check it out, like, share, and subscribe. No, sorry, but I am new. I realize that, and this is kind of like, it's your family, and
it's everyone's family.
I know. Look, I feel a little bit kind of bad, and so I kind of wanted to say, like, we've got this new show debuting on Sunday.
Oh, another one, okay.
Yeah. No Rolls Barred. It's a D&D style RPG improv kind of game. It's going to be amazing, where everyone's playing kind of wrestlers. Luke is part of it. Laurie's part of it. I'm part of it. I was just wondering, would you like to be a part of it as well?
Me?
Well, yeah. Obviously you're the star attraction on WrestleTalk.
I'd love to.
Yeah, no, that's great.
And so it's a game like I can win.
I guess. Yeah, it's more of a kind of collaborative narrative storytelling thing, so everyone's sort of working together to create the best possible story for them.
But I can beat you. But we'll play together. I'm just saying, for the thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
No, I'm really happy you're a part of it. Would you like, let's hug it out.
This Sunday.
Yeah,
this Sunday. No Rolls Barred.
Yeah, episode
awesome.
1 this Sunday. Oh, there's actually going to be an announcement video over on Parts of Unknown right now to give you kind of a lowdown on exactly who's going to be involved, what's going to be involved, our patron information, so you can get really kind of like stuck in and interactive with the universe. It's going to be a lot of fun.
How I can win. Click it right there, the video's right there, and our Super Showdown predictions on the video beneath it, so click that too. I guess I've been Ollie Davis.
And I've been Adam Blompier. Have you, Ollie?
And that was wrestling.
Davis.
Davis.
I've been calling you Davies this entire time.
It's not as bad as Luke Owens.
I have been calling him that. It's fine though, isn't it? It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. People get my name wrong all the time.
I'll
so.
beat you.
Huh?